While I came into June with a pretty solid plan, I can now say it was a month where those plans were hard to keep, which is clear in the things I did and didn't play so much in June. My plan was to dive deep into June's biggest release, however I didn't even end up buying it as another game from a series I loved fell into my inbox sooner than expected, so I got into that instead in more ways than one, with a few small trips into smaller experiences before getting into things. I wouldn't call it smooth, but it was a fun month nonetheless, so let's get into the JRPGs I played in June. The thing that fell into my inbox was a code for Trails into Reverie, something I hadn't realized I'd see so soon as it's coming out on the 7th of July, but despite being a little surprised, I was pretty excited as I meant it had an excuse to continue with the Trails series, which I've been trying to do since Azure, even if this meant playing much less of the main game I had my eye on in June. The story-heavy nature of Trails meant I couldn't finish Reverie fully in June, which is why I'm mostly giving it my first impressions from the first 10 or so hours here. In that time, I managed to finish the Lloyd and Reen parts of the first act and get a sense of what Reverie has in store, with it having those signature end of chapter twists that have me wondering what's going to happen next as I wait to get back to it. I really like the idea of being able to move between the character arcs of the protagonist so far like I thought I would, even if I played through each one to completion rather than jumping back and forth in my playthrough. Even if you don't use it, it helps give a sense that these stories are occurring at the same time that makes everything feel connected, and with things like being able to run through a modern looking crossspell with Lloyd and parts of the SSS, as usual, Reverie continues the trend of Trails making every bit you've learned about its lore count, meaning if you've played any of the previous games, read its backstory content like its 3 and 9 novel included in the game, or are hoping to enjoy the upgraded battle system that finally shows weaknesses on the menu, every character and mechanic has been expanded on, feeling like a true continuation to the Trails story, which is what I'm pretty sure most fans of the series will be excited for. I had a good time with Reverie on PS5, but since we're talking about Trails, I also decided to keep one plan I made last month and took the liberty of playing Azure on Switch during my commutes as something to help me make my Reverie experience even better, which worked out well as I've been wanting to play it anyway. As it tends to go when you play two games side by side, I only got a chapter into Azure, that means I still have plenty to go, but I'm glad I managed to finish that chapter as once again it had an end to it that was basically as powerful as a game end, with parts before that showing me characters I remembered from Zero and Cold Steel that gave me more context to the world as a whole. It was also fun playing the Lloyd part of Reverie while also running around Crossbell in Azure, as I got to really enjoy seeing Crossbell in a more upgraded form. I played Cold Steel 3 and 4, so I'd seen it before, but since I've now played Zero and Azure, I was actually able to appreciate the upgraded city, and definitely recommend playing those two games if you want to get more excited about the Crossbell parts of Reverie and get that signature Trails payoff. I'm hoping to get back to one or both of these experiences in July, and with some potential free time maybe in the second half, I truly hope I can. In any case, while it was early, I enjoyed having June basically become a month of Trails for me that reminded me of how rich and interesting the series is, and reminded me how worth it it'll be in this Trails game and beyond as I try to play more games from this series. If you watched the Lost JRPGs I played, you'll know that my main plan for June was to play Final Fantasy XVI, probably like many JRPG fans. When I received my code for Reverie and decided to play it, I knew it would affect my plans to play 16 because Trails games tend to run a little long, but once the demo for 16 was announced, I felt a little less bad about my decision as I knew I would at least get to play some of it, and that small bit was enough for me to know that I definitely want to play it in full someday. It's as stunning as its trailers look with its cinematic graphics, which is something I actually appreciated after playing Trails that is still using an older engine in Reverie. 16 feels like a modern game with the way it moves and that cinematic feeling, and it would be hard not to be sold on it after the demo, as it feels almost guaranteed to be enjoyable just because of how high quality it feels. There were some things that I did find a little questionable in its opening moment, such as the use of language that had it feel more like a Western fantasy than I'd usually expect, but I did feel more interested in the dialogue when the younger Clive and his family were introduced, so I am at least curious about the story, and with the tiny bit of combat I tried being smooth and fun, I definitely still want to try the full experience. I'm happy that thanks to this demo, I was able to try some of it in June, especially since I haven't even picked it up yet, as I knew I wasn't going to get time for it. Much like Reverie, I'm hoping to find time for it sooner rather than later, especially since it feels weird to rush home to play 15 years ago and not to be playing 16 right now. But even with my JRPG priorities being different these days, series, I still look forward to seeing what it has in store throughout the rest of its main story, and will look forward to sharing more of my thoughts when I get to it too. Somehow, all of my smaller experiences in June ended up revolving around Gust, which isn't so strange for me as a big fan of their games that I'm always happy to give time to. Before I was playing Reverie, I was actually heavily considering doing a review for Blue Reflection Sun, which has proven to be a great addition to my daily smartphone game activities, mostly on auto mode as I do other things, but still on an almost daily basis nonetheless. I even re-downloaded Blue Reflection Second Light on PS5 to check out more of Shiho's friendship events to learn more about her as I prepared to go through Sun's main story. However, directly after I did this, I'm pretty sure was when I received Reverie and put that plan away for a rainy day. I did really enjoy returning to what felt like my school in Second Light though, and enjoyed my brief time with its wholesome vibes, and am reminded that it's a game I need to get the true end for as part of a series that I really love. Also during this time, I bought and played part of Ryza 3's story DLC that includes a whole new region to play with that I was pretty keen on. Surprisingly and unsurprisingly though, I found it a little hard to get into this time since I've been out of the Ryza 3 rhythm for a bit, so I found I had more difficulty with the battle system than when I did during my initial playthrough. I do hope to get back to this DLC of course, and also the new areas added from Ryza 2 are definitely something I'm interested in, but as much as I love it, I think it might be better to scratch my Ryza 3 itch more when I make the time to smash out the DLC or just feel like playing in general, as it might take me a minute to get back to playing well, and I want to be able to do that when I can give it the right amount of time. Either way, it was nice to enjoy Gust games and will likely serve as a good primer to what I played this month. I still also hope we see Blue Reflection Sun in the West, as it really is proving to be an enjoyable smartphone JRPG to jump in and out of on the go with good stories and battles of a good length, so I wonder if I'll end up playing more of its events in July, and we'll see as July is right around the corner. It should be no surprise to many of you that my July plans revolve around one game coming from my favorite series, and since I've heard it might be shorter, I actually have a feeling I'll be able to finish this month by the time the month is out. Of course, the top thing on my mind for July is the Atelier Mari remake, the remake of the first title in the Atelier series that will mark my first venture into the older titles, and I'm so excited that this remake will finally allow me to get a start on doing that. Also in Atelier news is that the Atelier Ryza anime will come out on the 1st of July too, making it easy to make July an Atelier-filled month. I'll be doing my best to keep up with that while also hoping that there will be some time before and after these Atelier things, and with that time maybe I'll be able to get some trails into Reverie in as well, or some time with Azure, as I'm still tossing out between whether I should continue with both or just stick with one of them at this point. Aside from maybe picking up the Pyra and Mythra Amiibo that comes out on the 21st, or at least staring at it somewhere, that'll likely be the bulk of my JRPG plans for July, which sounds like maybe not much, but once Trails and Heavy Synthesis is involved, I think it will manage to take up a fair bit of the month in a fun way. I hope your JRPG decisions are as easy as mine this month, and that you end up playing something you like, and whether you're jumping back or forward in a series, I hope we can all enjoy this next month of things to play. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you played in June and what you plan to play in July. You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!